That would be helpful. All right, we're professionals. Hello and welcome to...
We are.
Take 5. Hello and welcome to the Star Trek Wars podcast, Picard edition. I'm your co-host, Jordan, and joining me today, it's... wait a minute, is that a new goatee, Joselyn?
Oh, what, this?
Yeah.
You like?
I don't know. Have you always had that?
I think so.
Okay, well, it's the Mirror Universe, so I'm cleanly shaven. This week we're going to be talking about Picard Season 2, Episode 2, Penance. And Jocelyn, as your penance, I've got a surprise for you later. So,
oh boy,
remind me. This episode is written by Terry Matalas and Christopher Monfay. It could be Monfet, but I don't think he likes it that way. Directed by Douglas Aronofsky. Picard finds himself transported to an alternate timeline in the year 2400, where he must face one last trial orchestrated by his longtime nemesis. I'm sorry. Nemesis? Q. So, this week's episode of Picard. What are your first impressions of the second episode? It had a lot to live up to. Do you think it did it?
It had a lot to live up to, and it did. Absolutely. This was
I love the
this
suspense.
was good. Yeah. Not gonna drag it out. Loved it. I love a good costume change, basically. And that's what the Mirror Universe is so good for, an alternate timeline, is putting the characters that you know and love in different outfits. And I like it. And different hairstyles. And that's what I want. And I got that.
Yeah, this is the perfect episode for you when it comes to fashion. Yeah. I was thinking that, oh my gosh.
It was very visually exciting.
I agree. I liked it. I wasn't sure at first when I was watching it. I don't know. I don't even know how to really put my thoughts into words as far as just my first impressions of it. I liked it. And I thought it was good. There's a few things. Yeah, wow, I should be a professional podcaster. I liked it, and I thought it was good. So, end of episode. There's a few things to it because it feels like we've gone from one timeline to another timeline, and then we're going to jump again, it seems. So I feel like I would just like to spend more time because I liked the first episode so much in the time we were in.
Oh.
So... And now we kind of get used to this
1.
universe a little bit, and we're going to be jumping out of this one. So, I just wish I had more time to breathe, which is kind of the opposite of Discovery, where they take too much time. So, it's very fast paced, and it's just coming off Discovery going into this. It's just a whole different world, and they're both good for different reasons. But let's get into our pros so we can kind of break this down a little bit further into what we liked about Episode 2.
Okay. Starting with the pros, unlike Discovery, Picard has the fashion this week. And I'll start with the best, which was Seven's presidential getup with this cinched waist with that asymmetrical belt, the peplum style jacket with the tailored trousers and the flashy yet sensible heels. There it is. Oh, I love that.
To change my background so that I'm not in Discovery mode.
Yeah, there you go. That much sets the tone. That's a very young Picard.
With hair.
With hair. Good looking. Okay. Rios is in black this episode, and I think Rios should be in black all the time.
Okay.
Sans cigar. That's a different Rios for me. I'm back in. I'm back in for Rios. Elnor looks like the bad boy member of an early 2000s pop band, and I like it. Thought that was good.
The bad boy?
Yeah, the bad boy. He wears a leather jacket and a hoodie.
Yeah.
I'm not the member of NSYNC you take home to your mama. You know what I mean? Like that kind of vibe.
I think mama would be happy with any member of NSYNC you bring home.
That's true. They're very rich. Raffi looked so glamorous. Oh my God. Her hair was coiffed for the gods. She had this, again, the shoulder pads are doing a lot of work.
Make a Romulan blush.
It's exactly. She even talked in the Ready Room. They had like a segment where she talked about how the outfit can like make you feel different as a character. And like you put the outfit on and then you feel like that. And it just like seemed like that for most of the characters in this episode, that they were just like really feeling themselves. And that was great. I do have some fashion cons. We'll get to those later.
Ooh.
And lastly, Jean-Luc Picard as the evil general. At first I was like, yeah, right. That's like I'm never going to buy it. But then he like shows up at the ceremony and he's got his boots on and his scowl and that like sash that I guess just holds like bullets for phasers. I don't know. It was empty, but it was there. Something goes there.
Bandolier, yeah.
Yeah, and I bought it. I was like, wow, Patrick Stewart could be a really good bad guy. Why has this never been a thing that I know of? Pretty amazing. Yeah, speaking of him as a bad guy, the skulls were a little morbid, but like really cool. It was really cool to see that.
Scared me a little bit. It's morbid, but I love it and I want some. Like, okay,
and I want it in my home.
How do I obtain
No, it was just
these?
like you knew what each of them were, you know, and then I guess I just didn't like think about sometimes the Ferengi, like their ears being part of like a bony structure, but it was so detailed. It was so like they even had like foramen, just like human skulls have, like all of the things you actually structurally need in a skull for it to function, which would be the case on any species basically, unless you're the 10C and you're Puff the Magic Dragon. Like it was there. That was just so cool, and also did a lot to like set the tone for who Picard was in this timeline, in this reality. Calling it the Confederation of Earth,
yeah,
I feel like is a pretty sick burn. I loved it. All the propaganda.
And Picard's ship, the USS General Lee. Oh my gosh!
Yes, I know.
Perfect.
With the flag painted on the top. I mean, that was a little ham-fisted of them, but I got it. It was very like Man in the High Castle, a pure universe, subjugate savage civilizations. I was like, where am I? 2022? Anyway, I thought it was pretty good. Picard has a line, "This really is the circle that Dante overlooked." And it's a great line, and it reminds me of how much I love Picard as a character. That is a very Picard line. No other character could say that line, and we would like buy into it as much. And that's one thing Picard really has going for it, is these characters are very solid. They have personality. They have agency, all of them. And that is just a pleasure to watch, basically. Girardi's like cat.
Spot 73.
Spot 73. Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt.
That was Patton Oswalt.
Oh, is it really? His
Yes.
voice?
Yes.
Doing the cat. Oh, okay. That's hilarious.
Isn't it? Because I recognized it. I was like, if that's Patton Oswalt, then I'll die. And it totally was.
Look it up because it didn't feel like Spot 73 had enough lines. I was like, oh, that's a known voice actor that's doing those lines, but that makes sense. And Spot, I mean, obviously, come on.
Of course it was.
Data's cat. Come on.
It was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I love that Girardi was like, she's actually turning into a character that I like.
It seems like it.
Yeah. She's a mess. And that's good. You need those characters.
Yeah, they can't all
You
be
need those
perfect.
characters thrown in. And I think, again, sounds like I'm just like pooping all over Discovery, but sorry to be so vulgar. But like, who is a mess on that ship? You know? No one gets to be a mess. And that's not fair. And Girardi gets to be this mess. And she's like, I'm lonely in any timeline. And it's just like, it's great. It's great humor, but also it's great sadness, which makes for great drama. So I like it. I do like, they made some interesting choices in this episode because you have Picard. He's the only one we know for sure understands that they've been transported into an alternate timeline. And so part of me was like, oh man, are we going to spend the entire season or like at least a 3-episode arc with him like hunting down the rest of the crew and trying to convince them that they're in an alternate timeline, because that is like a very boring trope at this point, but they all know what's going on. And I thought that was brilliant because it gives you comedic moments, and then we have to skip that gag where it's like, no, in my timeline, you're half Borg, and then Seven's like, I'm the president. What are you talking about? Anyway, we got to skip all that, and it helped with a lot of subtext. It helped with like build tension in a scene. It was great.
Well, I just really like when characters are aware of what show they're in. Like, you're in Star Trek. You wake up, you're the president, Picard's the evil dictator. We see Seven, like, for 5 seconds, do some tests, be like, okay, heat check.
Yeah.
Check pain receptors.
Very Seven of her.
Everything's working. Absolutely. I love that. But we didn't spend an episode being like, who are we? How did we get here? Why are we? Like, they inhabit those roles very quickly. They're fairly confident when they speak, even though they don't know what's going on, but they don't give themselves away. Because they're trained officers and they've been through some wild, crazy crap before. Like, they know Picard has lived yesterday's Enterprise, which is referenced by Q in this episode. Like, we know that. So when characters play dumb and like, well, that's impossible. That could never... It's like, come on. Like, of course it's possible. You saw Janeway and Tom Paris turn into lizards, have salamander babies, get turned back into humans after they broke the warp barrier. Like, anything is possible. So... yes, I wish that was a joke.
Out of context, that just sounds crazy.
Yeah, you know what else sounds crazy? Dr. Crusher making love to the candle that her grandmother and her great-grandmother made love to because a ghost who was like this Irish heartthrob comes out of it and forces his green, like, vaporness. Yeah, it just...
I don't understand what seems so crazy about that. Yeah. It's every romance novel I've ever read. Yeah. Raffi calling Q Mr. Alphabet was pretty great.
Oh, I did not like that. Her nicknames
I don't
are
understand
the worst.
why she wouldn't know what the Q continuum is, because she definitely should.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just thought it was funny in the moment.
Mr. Alphabet, he has one letter. JL is closer to Mr. Alphabet than Q. And by the way, I hate JL, and she says it again this week. I just...
She's Mrs. Alphabet, maybe.
I guess. I'm going to give her a bad nickname.
Yeah. Well, just try with her in that outfit. I can't find a fault. I'm sorry. It ends on a very good cliffhanger, I thought. I was glad. I thought, we're going to get through this episode and they're going to just make it to essentially present day LA and then we'll cut. And so they surprised me in where they cut it. And so maybe we'll get a couple episodes in this like weird alternate universe. I don't know. Maybe. It doesn't seem like it. Neutral zone wise, so many wrinkles, so many disappointments is going to be the title of my biography. So please don't steal that.
I'm glad you went to that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. My autobiography, I should say. No one else is going to be writing about me. We were so close to getting Cisco on this show. And I'm so sad that we didn't. Cisco and Janeway. And I know Janeway has Prodigy now, and as she should, but I really, really, really want Cisco and Janeway on one of these, in one of these other universes.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone, but at the same time, I would love to see Cisco again, but I'd love to see Cisco with the Deep Space Nine characters. I don't see too much of a reason to bring him into Picard. It could work.
Isn't he a prophet? I mean...
He is.
Did they need a prophet?
I mean, who doesn't?
Who doesn't need a prophet?
I mean, come on. I mean, what's he going to do? Tell them the future? They're in the past. It doesn't matter. They know the future. Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, those are my pros. What have you got?
I am a bit of a sucker for the mirror universe, even though
Oh yeah.
50% of the time it works half the time. Diminishing returns is definitely a phrase we've thrown out for the mirror universe, particularly in Deep Space Nine, where it started strong and then it got worse. I think Enterprise did it well, but really Next Generation never had a true mirror universe episode. So seeing it now is very cool. And the characters that they have involved, they all had a very believable role to play in this episode. That's one thing that Picard has really done well. A couple things is pacing and then making sure each character has their own moments and that their characters fit into the roles that they have in the mirror universe as well. So seeing Gul Dukat and Martok, well, at least their skulls. I saw someone online refer to him as Skull Dukat, which is pretty
okay.
too soon.
He beat us. He beat us.
I know. I was a little mad that I saw that before I was going to say it. So yeah, that was cool. Just seeing some Deep Space Nine love. I know Jeremy has been petitioning for Deep Space Nine to get even mentioned in Star Trek, which is few and far between. So it's very cool because just history-wise, like you can reference Voyager, but most of these characters, other than Seven, like don't know what happened on Voyager. Yeah, because it's so disconnected from where they live.
Yeah.
And I did like, we kind of touched on this already, but how Seven checks to see if she's dreaming, like just very Seven, like her implant is gone. She's like, well, wait a minute, something's off. How is this happening? Am I in a holodeck? Which technically she could be in a holodeck with the safeties off. So, but it was very Seven of her. I like that she gets to be the president. Like, what a big change. Like, I'm surprised she doesn't want to stay in this universe. Like, she's...
I think part of her does, especially, like, did you see her face when she realized that she was going to be executing the Borg Queen?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of her interaction
conflict
with the Borg Queen was great. And just like how she takes a few steps back when she sees the Borg Queen, and even just the contrast between how she interacts with the Borg Queen and Picard, because she was assimilated at a very young age. And it's still traumatic for Picard, but he's just like... He owned it. Like, he walked right at the Borg Queen face to face, and just like he was not showing any external fear, was not projecting any of that. So both of them had very different interactions with the Borg, and Seven was assimilated for a much longer period of time as well. So it's it'll be
and
interesting.
She hasn't had as many subsequent interactions with the Borg Queen. I feel like Picard has.
Oh, she's had a bunch. She's probably had more interactions with the Borg than Picard by like 2 or 3, based on like Voyager had 21 Borg episodes, I think, and TNG had like 5 or 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, in the movies too.
Yeah, and it's like
that's more what I was thinking.
In the argument of like, is that even the same Borg Queen? And anyways, I don't know. I thought the Borg Queen was good too this week. It's interesting. It's funny. I mean, there's just elements of humor, like almost Futurama-esque elements where she has no legs and she's just like this floating head and torso.
Yeah.
But, I thought she was good in what they gave her to do, and kind of calculated in somewhat helping them, but in it for herself at the same point in time.
Exactly.
We get Q referencing at least 2 Star Trek episodes, as well as Star Trek 4 this week. Well, Picard references Star Trek 4. He's like, there are many ways to time travel. You could slingshot around the sun. You could do like, he just like, they're so self-aware of the universe.
Many ways to go back in time.
Yes, that they live in. Because in Discovery, it's like, oh, time travel's outlawed. Can't do it. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, there's 15 ways to do it. We've seen them. Like, come on. It's dangerous, and it may not work out the way you want, and you have to have someone do the calculations.
Well, it seldom does.
Agnes seemed very much kind of like, I said very Joselyn this week, to where like her story that she makes up about like why she's there, and her and the president were old drinking friends, and just like I could see you doing something like that if you were in a pickle and like having to make up a story on the spot. So
I might be Dr. Girardi. It's bad. Yeah, it's bad. Homicidal ideations aside.
Do you have a cat Tamagotchi at home?
The only cat I would have would be on a computer screen, so that tracks.
Very good.
Very allergic.
Yeah, I am too, but I still have one. every character has a role to play, and it's believable. I kind of touched on that a couple times, but I think that's super important to the plot and buying into this. And like you said, like you didn't like Girardi last season hardly at all, and already she's been more compelling. Rafi's been much better this season so far in her limited time. And I think even Elnor's becoming more useful and having a little bit of humor and interaction with Rafi, which has helped her character as well.
Yes.
Neutral Zone-wise, Q Picard dialogue to open the episode. It's very strong from Q, and we're seeing a different Q, but they're just speaking in riddles, which annoys me because I have no idea. And if it'll make sense later on, but it's just annoying when you have like a 3-minute scene and nothing is really said. Like there's a ton of words, but like what are you even talking about, Q?
Yeah, it was kind of nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, time is broken, and we kind of already know what he's saying, and it's partially because spoilers that are out there. Like we know what's happening, we know where they're going, we know that they're in a mirror type universe, and we don't know everything, but trailers show you so much that it's, I don't know, it just takes away some of the fun. Harvey's Neutral Zone, because I feel like that character would be a pro if he was played by, I don't know the actor's name, the actor from 30 Rock, like the nerdy white guy with the so he's smiling. Like I feel like that would be perfect casting for Harvey.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty good.
They kind of dropped the ball. I mean, not that this guy's cast poorly for a very creepy smiley robot.
No, he's perfect.
He is very good. Yes.
I couldn't really put my finger on why, but I was like, wow, I'm going to look this guy up because I need to know who he is. And then I subsequently did not. So,
yeah, I had it pulled up. Let me see. Because there's another character I want to talk about. And I wanted to find out what his name is because I was not thrilled. One of the only characters I was not thrilled with their performance this week. You might know who I'm talking about, but I'm not sure.
Is it Seven's husband?
Yes, it is Seven's husband.
I thought so, but I don't know why.
Yeah, it's just not a particularly strong showing for John Briones at all. At least
I know him from something, and I don't know what.
He's in. I looked at his IMDb page just to see if I know I've seen him in stuff before, and I don't remember thinking he was bad. But in this, that was one we'll talk about in the cons. But yeah, that was definitely one of the weaknesses. Oh, actually, Neutral Zone, Seven's husband. That's actually a con. I moved that. It started off as like, maybe it's just like they shot these scenes first and he's still getting into the character and it'll get better, but it did not. I also felt like, I think what I was trying to say in my initial reactions that I didn't really want to lead with was it has kind of a fan fiction feel to this episode. But not in a bad way, because I know sometimes fan fiction is, very I guess perceived as a lower quality, which it usually is because you have fans doing it instead of professionals, which sometimes they're professionals. Like there's a Star Trek, really the only fan fiction production I've really watched is Star Trek Continues, which is actually very good and takes very good care to present like the heart of what Star Trek is and continue the original series. And the acting is a little rough at first with some of the characters, but they are, most of them, voice actors or have acting background, and they have professional like lighting, and the sets and the costumes are like perfect, and just the amount of attention to detail that they go through to make sure like the ship looks exactly like the ship, and tracking down manufacturers that made this in the 60s and what the closest thing they can find. So Star Trek Continues on YouTube. You can watch that for free. It's very good. I think it's 8 or 10 episodes, and then there was the whole Alec Peters debacle where he was making money off of making fan fiction stuff and building his own studio to do other stuff in the future under the guise that it was going to be used for Star Trek. And then he gave like a really good looking 10-minute trailer with like the actor who plays Martok, J.J. Hertzler, and he had Richard Hatch, who was in Battlestar Galactica, and a bunch of big names. And
oh my God,
he got sued, and then anyways, but he's also a lawyer, and he's a bit of a tool bag. But anyways, it was a good idea, but unfortunately, he's a garbage human, and it kind of ruined fan films for everybody.
They sneak into the Star Trek universe.
Yeah, and Star Trek Continues kind of got shut down because CBS is like, you can no longer make Star Trek fan fiction, and anyways. So no one can really do it. They own the IP, so it's their right, but it kind of sucks. So
All
this
right.
had
We
kind
should
of that
do-
feel.
We should do an off Broadway production of Star Trek the Musical.
You'll have to talk to Jeremy about that. I can think of a few songs.
You down? You down?
I could see you singing as Dr. Crusher singing Candle in the Wind, but it's a very different song.
Oh my God.
So not quite a Star Trek Renegades feel to it, which is another that's a bad Star Trek fan fiction. Anyways, I'll stop referencing things that you haven't seen or know about.
Yep.
But
No
I think
idea.
a lot of the fans are familiar with those properties. But yeah, it just... Okay, we'll have the Borg Queen in it. Well, like I said, Star Trek's greatest hits. We'll have Q. We'll have Mirror Universe. All the things that Star Trek loves and cram them together. It's working very well so far, but it just worries me a little bit. There's not a whole lot of new here to draw from as far as ideas. We do have new characters to an extent, but it was just a little, I guess, somewhat off-putting at first watching this episode, but it got better. Jailbreak again.
Do we have a guest star?
We have 2 guest stars.
2 guest stars. Wow, we have 2. Mm-hmm. We're getting very popular when we're pulling talent like that.
So I think that's pretty much all the neutral zones. I did have one other, is that it had a bit of a on the nose, make America great again type of vibe to it. In some ways, almost too much.
It's very, if you have seen, like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of like dystopian future stuff, like Handmaid's Tale and Man in the High Castle, things like that. And this was very consistent with that. And I liked it. I liked the set they used for like the execution set was the Elnor graduation, like Starfleet Academy set. It was the exact same building. And so the way that they like changed it and then made it like this dark, a lot of reds and grays and blacks, I thought that was super cool. But this is every dystopian future nightmare.
I'll get into it in my cons as to why it's more so, why it's more of a neutral zone there, but I'll expand upon that a little bit. But yeah, I guess let's get into our cons then, Jocelyn, and kind of talk about what we didn't like, which I don't have a whole lot, honestly.
I don't have a whole lot either. There are a couple of outfits I was disappointed in. First of all, how are you going to put Dr. Jurati in a formless gray, like, what was that? Oversized open sweater thing?
I'm assuming that is like what she wears when she's in the science lab, because she was technically at work. I'm
assuming that's what people wear to bed.
Okay.
So I didn't like it. I feel like she pissed somebody off in the costume department, and now she has to wear that. The only other outfits I didn't like were honestly, the Romulan slaves were really not putting a lot of effort into their outfits. It's like, yeah, you're slaves, we get it, but take some pride, You look you look poor. You look paw. Have you seen Inventing Anna on Netflix?
I have not, no.
I have watched 1.5 episodes. I can't really get past that, but I do know that something people are saying is you look paw in that accent. So that's a very funny joke for anybody who knows, which will probably be no one.
Perfect.
I think this is a very nitpicky thing I'm about to say, and it's a criticism of a lot of shows. A lot of shows that have like a crowd scene do this, and it bothers me as a person who has ever in my entire life been in a crowd. And that is that every single person in that crowd is dialed to 11.
Yeah.
They're all doing the exact same thing. They are all feeling the exact same thing. And the fact that never in the history of the world has ever happened annoys me. Like, give me the shouting hand raisy guy, but then also give me the other person who's just like nodding their head and nursing a beer, and give me the other person who's like, oh, my kid was right here just a second ago. Like, I need variance, nothing too distracting, but like maybe some people who are a little hesitant and are like, are public executions like, are we okay with this, guys? Like,
well,
I guess
my first question would be who's bringing their child to a public execution, but
I don't know. It's a dark future, Jordan. It's dark. Yeah. And actually, it's very reminiscent of our past, because that is literally what we used to do. Public executions all the time. Yeah. All the time. Medieval times, like, yeah, you would totally take your kids.
Don't bring up medieval times, please. It's a very sore subject for me and for you.
I will never eat with my hands in a medieval times again. It's ruined.
Oh, you've been to medieval times?
Of course I have.
Okay, well,
as a full adult person.
Big con. Do you not remember the medieval time debacle of our childhood?
There were so many debacles.
Wow.
Remind me if you would.
So we were promised, allegedly. I was so young. I just was always told we were promised that we would be taken to medieval times.
I do remember this.
And this never occurred.
It never, ever did happen in reality.
The closest I got to medieval times was watching The Cable Guy. So I never got the pleasure of eating with my hands, which actually sounds horrible. I would hate being in public next to people I know, eating with my hands with like no napkins. And they give you silverware if you want it, but yeah, but that's like going to sushi and using a fork. Like you can't.
Yeah, it's offensive. Really,
it is. It's true.
I'll take you to medieval times. You come visit me, and we'll find a medieval times.
Does it still exist?
I don't know. I sure hope so.
Okay. Do they make you wear face masks? Like, are they like so like into like when you go to a Ren fair, like they're so in character? Like, what is that covering you have on your face, peasant? Do you have leprosy?
What deformity are you hiding from us?
What gnarled, twisted?
Yeah.
Perhaps you have the nose of a witch.
And scream shame at you. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's good.
Like fun.
Yeah, crowds where everyone's dialed to 11. It's a nitpicky thing to say, and I'm saying it. Really, other than that, I thought I would like reflect on it and come back and write down more cons, but I don't have any more.
Yeah, truth be told, I have not had time to watch either of these episodes twice this week, so I didn't have time to really, which is probably a good thing, because I have time to like nitpick it. But I think Picard is so new, and the story where they're going with it, it's hard to have a ton of cons. I have like a couple of concerns. I guess my con is it's a bit of a small scale feel to what they're doing, just because of like they're this huge confederacy, right? And they've somehow conquered the Cardassians and the Borg and numerous species. I think we might even see a Jem'Hadar head in there. But like
I thought we did,
the Klingons. So we see like all these powerful races that it took multiple races for us to team up with to beat one of them in the past. And somehow we've become so powerful as the Confederation, which seems like it's just humans. And I think that's the analogy that they're going for.
It is just humans. That's the whole point.
Yes. So, like, how just humans beat the entire galaxy, I am more interested to see. Because all we get is the characters we know. And then, obviously, there's the mirror versions of them that are evil. And we see this rally. We see, like, 2 bodyguards. And then there's, like, 40 dudes in beanies in the crowd. Like, how is that...
Yeah, and they look poor.
Yes, they do. Yeah. Which, you know, if you're putting all your money into the military to dominate a bunch of species, you might not have a ton of money for, you know,
I don't think there are a lot of social programs like going on.
I would say not. So that just felt off to me as far as like, I'm not buying an 80-something-year-old Picard kicking every species butt. I bought him as like this baddie who had done some of the stuff. We don't know how long it's been since he's, you know, it's probably been through the decades that he's conquered them, you know, one at a time. Yeah. But that just felt a little off to me. I liked it, but they didn't show it as well as I thought they could have.
As they thought they could have. What I was thinking was like, and it's just the way that propaganda works. And I think potentially they kind of nodded to this because we are in Osaka, where there's an uprising of, Romulans. It looked like. So at the same time that they're celebrating, and that's the way propaganda works, is you lie. You say, we've conquered this species. And I kind of made the assumption that they were lying because they're still very much fighting the Vulcans, even though their homeworld looked pretty riddled with gunfire. But
seems like they have them pretty well, at least like from what we see, which could be propaganda, subjugated because they're like a slave race essentially. And then he has the skulls of all these people that we know were leaders of or higher ups in their respective races. So, I don't know.
But Genghis Khan used to be on top too.
That's true.
And now that dude's dead.
Yeah.
So
for a long time.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
It's been relevant in hundreds of years, some would say.
Right. Exactly. I'm too young to get that reference.
See, I can't get my own references.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I meant to open this episode with saying Happy Eradication Day, because how cool was, like, Eradication Day? I love that.
I know.
I don't love it.
The ominous, yes. I actually wrote that in my notes, too.
Mirror me is loving Eradication Day. Like, Happy Eradication Day, sweetie. You've been looking forward to this.
I know. I'm relishing in it with my stick straight hair and my dark eyeliner and leather outfit. For sure.
It's so cool, too, that, like, you kind of touched on this. Seven's mirror self, I guess, like, the fantasy of Seven's mirror self is the same as regular Seven, like, ending the Borg and the Borg Queen. Like,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's kind of cool.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, they've chosen the right characters to tell this story for sure. But Jocelyn, that's what we thought. I would say we should talk about what the fans thought and read their thoughts. But maybe there's a fan that doesn't agree with our take on this.
Maybe there's someone.
Might we find them at the bottom of the turbo lift?
At the very, very bottom.
All right.
Of the turbo lift, because it's time.
Let's go.
It's time
subterranean.
To go down. Let's go to the basement. No one wants to go. We all share the feeling. Anyway, in the basement on the IMDb page for Picard, which this episode got a pretty high rating, by the way. But like this 1-star review. Yeah. Pretty damn high. This review comes from Namstonk or Namstonk. I'm not sure which. 1 out of 10 stars. Subject: even the idiots are making this woke. And Namstonk says, so what had some decent premise has been turned into colonial bullcrap. All Star Trek franchises have become so woke, so bothered about boo-hoo rubbish, they've forgotten what the originality was. I'm done. Well, Jordan, I gotta say, I can see his point, A series that trailblazed a multiracial bridge crew, had the first interracial kiss on TV, that purposefully addressed diplomacy over bloodshed, climate protection over greed, a future where money means nothing and no one is homeless and without a meal, and the Federation is there to save us all. Like, yeah, how did Star Trek stray so far from this guy's specific selective memory of it?
I don't know. It's very strange.
I don't know. So awful. Just so awful for this person. And they're done. So I don't know. I guess all I can say is the doors at the top of the turbo lift.
Yeah. Should you choose to come up?
You can leave anytime. Use your, just tap out, man. Use that personal transporter. Just like I'm going to do to get out of this basement. I seriously don't know how you find fault in this show. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it not being someone's cup of tea, but if you're a fan of Star Trek and these characters, like, I don't really see how you can have too many cons. There's a podcast I listen to, and they didn't review this, but they do general nerd stuff. And this guy constantly goes on rants about how he doesn't like New Trek and that he may not watch Picard season 2 because he didn't like the first season for these reasons. And then he watched this episode and he just briefly was like, yeah, I don't like the direction of the new season of Picard. I was like, what? Like, how? What? Like,
you can't comment on it when you have no context or clue.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just very
just like no one. There are some people who will
people
never be happy no matter how good a thing is. And
Yes,
they may
that's
realize
true.
10 years from now that it actually wasn't as bad as they think it is.
Yeah.
Just like
but there is
Jocelyn, for you, your penance, Star Trek Enterprise, you're going to have to watch an episode of Star Trek Enterprise. And I am going to throw it to the council. I'm going to create a poll, which I'm not an admin in the group for
Council,
some reason.
Please take
So I don't know if I
pity
can
on
create a
me.
poll. I'll have to have Jeremy create it for me.
Don't do
But
this to me, man.
I'm going to have them pick a random
Oh my God.
episode of Star Trek Enterprise for you to watch.
And I have to watch it
Yeah, and review it.
with my eyeballs
Yes, and your ears. And
and my ear
no
holes.
10 time or 30 times speed. You got to do
God
1x
damn it.
speed. No.
1x speed?
Yes. Real time.
Who has time for this?
That is your penance. So.
I throw myself on the mercy of the council. That's all I'll say.
The council has no mercy.
It's true.
You're not even a member of the council,
I'm not
Jocelyn.
even a member.
We grant you membership to this podcast, but not membership to the council. So you did this to yourself. We'll have to do it after
it's
Picard
true.
is over at some point. Maybe a summer thing, but I'm thinking
please.
ahead. Well, Jocelyn,
Okay.
what did our fans have to say? Just
So
what did
our
actual Star
fans-
Trek fans have to say about this episode?
Yeah, exactly. Esteemed members of the council, all whom I love.
Esteemed members.
Very, very much. Yes, esteemed members of the Star Trek Council who are merciful in their selections. Wayne Fraser says, this show is really surprising me. I thought season 1 was extremely disappointing, but I have genuinely enjoyed both episodes this season. That was a lot of fun. And they finally found a use for Elnor, comic sidekick to Raffi. They were great together. I do have one concern that may be completely unjustified. Last week, I loved seeing Starfleet again, and then they took it away from us and gave us totalitarian Earth. But then I liked that too, and now they're going to take that away from us and give us 2024 Los Angeles. Perhaps they deserve the benefit of the doubt, given the strong start to the season. More, please.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same headspace as Wayne with that. It's like I've liked everything they've done. I just want to spend more time in it. So,
yeah.
Giancarlo Cruz says, spiteful Q, I love it. Is this the mirror universe? My brain struggles with the fact that the mirror universe in Discovery and Deep Space Nine and this don't really seem to fit together, which I agree. Like, the mirror universes have been very inconsistent, even though it's technically supposed to be the same mirror universe most of the time when we see it.
I didn't realize
the continuity
that,
of like going from the original series. I guess Enterprise did a good job, but in Deep Space Nine, it just completely off the rails. Hopefully, we get a good explanation of what happened in the future, which I think we will. I think that's a big part of the arc, because it would be very disappointing if they did not explain it.
Yeah, agreed. Chris Rowell says, dang, ST Pick has stepped its game up big time. Delancey is incredible. I'm really liking the performances by the whole ensemble, which is crazy considering Girardi and Elnor were a little annoying in season 1. Season 2 is off to an incredible start. The first 2 episodes have left me begging for more, a testament to how good New Trek can be.
Justin, I don't know if I can do this or not. I'm going to share my screen because Chris Well also posted a GIF of Spock. So this is great podcasting. I'm going to share
yeah, absolutely.
This right
It's very
here.
visual medium.
Can you see that? Okay, yeah. So it's Spock, new Spock with his,
it's new
Vulcan
Spock
salute,
in his
feeling himself.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's snowing.
Kind
so
of
this must be
swaying
from
back
the
and forth.
Set of Strange New Worlds, which I'm
He's feeling it.
very excited
He's feeling
about.
it.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, I thought I'd give you a glimpse of what you're missing out on
I
the
like
console. And
Man, the council looks fun.
It is. It's a great place. So you should join someday.
All right, keep sending me screen grabs because I'll never go to there.
Perfect. Well, Jocelyn Wilflor says, how freaking good is John Delancey? He is in this episode for all of maybe 10 minutes, and he has a hold over the whole tone. I really liked how they had Seven be the one who figures out what happens, and then an interaction with the Borg Queen helps her confirm Picard playing up to the crowd was pretty funny. And then when they realized they were out of time and had to shoot their way out for a minute, it really felt like a Western. And of course, everything is super engaging. It looks like the heroes will escape, and then to be continued. What? So good. Let's hope it's not typical part 2. Also, saying time travel is not a good way to reassure me. Or whatever that line was, will quite possibly be the best line of the season. 10 trophy skulls.
Nice. And Jeremy reads this. Short and sweet. He says, Q said Ducat, 9 stars.
There you go. I think that's all Jeremy was looking for. I think he heard that line.
That's all he wanted out of this season. No, easy to please.
He could have said Deep Space 9 stars. Not that I'm going to critique Jeremy's rating.
Missed opportunity.
Well, thanks for the feedback, guys. We really appreciate it. I think Picard has been getting pretty favorable reviews other than, the Basement Dwellers. So it's exciting to see Star Trek really thriving again. And again, two episodes in a row for both shows that have been really, really good and a great way to kick off Star Trek Picard. So, Jocelyn, there's really only one thing left to do, and that's to rate this episode. What do you give Penance?
Well, I'm going to steal a line from you and give it a DS9.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Ducat.
Well, Jocelyn, the council gave this a score of a 9.29.
Whoa, council.
Yes.
Whoa.
I am going to give it a...
Wow.
Oh, man. I kind of like last week's a little bit better. So I don't know if you can guess. Yeah, I don't know. I like the setup of it. It's super close.
So you're going to give it an 8.5.
I was going to give it an 8.5, but...
I knew it.
I feel like everything they set up, they paid off pretty well. Because it just it feels like an in-between episode. And I like the to be continued feel, but I also hated it because it ended. I was like, what? It's over? But that's how that's how TV has been for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's probably how it should be to keep you engaged. Because when Discovery's over, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's over. When Picard's over, no, it's over. So a little different feel.
That's how you know.
This was pretty hard to pay off. So I will actually give it a 9. I'll give it 9 Borg Slayers, which, pretty cool nickname for Picard, by the way. Which brings the total score, overall score, to 9.09. I'll round up, 9.1. So.
Nice.
Pretty good. Jocelyn, what do you think happens next time on Star Trek Picard? Or do you have a deleted scene, or should I go first?
I don't. I've already seen next week's episode, actually. It was an early release just for me because I am a Star Trek influencer. Oh. That's just a known thing about me that no one can dispute. I
thought you said it's a known thing about you that no one knows.
Well, also that.
Okay. Perfect.
It's kind of key to them not disputing it is that they don't know. But there are a few things that are strange about next episode that, we can talk about next week in my cons. I just think, the love story between Picard and Guinan, I didn't see that coming. I certainly didn't see that they're going to take, I thought it was a weird choice to have Seven rip Harvey in 2 so that the Borg Queen can have a pair of legs. It was a little violent, I thought, for that. And also, it just doesn't match her outfit at all because he's very normcore and she's very, obviously, Mirror Universe Borg. So I thought that was weird. Jurati getting back with Rios and then murdering him was very Jurati, but also just a weird choice for the show to make. So, yeah. interested, but also kind of confused for next week.
It's also very Picard that she is in next week's episode after murdering him, and it's just like, insane
she's
again,
immediately. Yeah, she's immediately exonerated. It's like something like she had really bad allergies that day, I think.
From Spot 73, of course. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so there's that. Do you have a next time on?
Well, I did. This episode definitely had legs, which is funny because the Borg Queen did not. And all I wrote down for my next time on is the Borg Queen's legs, because all I can think about is like, where are her legs and what are they doing? Like, I'm just picturing them in some other lab, and they're just like walking around into the wall. There's episode Deep Space Nine.
I can't see anything.
Called the.
And also, did they take her legs so she couldn't escape? She's got tentacles. She can just like Doc Ock herself out of that situation.
We don't know if she does in this capacity, this queen.
Oh, I'm sure the tentacles are going to come out.
I did really like that, like, she has this perception of what's going on and like sensing something is off, and her understanding of time.
That was cool.
I thought that was very good as well.
Yeah.
As we know, Guinan obviously has that sense. Q would know the Borg Queen, and having someone to bring along, and like just like plugging a Borg Queen into your warp reactor. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Bold move.
And I can't believe that I didn't have that in my pros, because that's just such a sight to see, like the Borg Queen's upper body just there plugged into the ship. Like, if you would have shown me a screenshot of that a year ago, I'd be like, what the heck am I looking at?
What the heck?
No way.
And her face, how happy she was.
Yeah, she was more expressive.
To have control.
Yes, that's very true. That's very, very true. She's definitely getting something out of this experience for sure.
Yeah.
And she's going to have her own nefarious purposes. I hope she gets legs. I hope she can like walk around. And
I hope she gets legs, although I will say that the strongest features of every Borg Queen so far have been the cheekbones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And nice, just upper body, I'll say.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's separate from the rest of their body, so.
Yeah.
Just like lower it down. It's weird that they don't have like her little spine thing hanging there. That would be, I don't know, maybe that'd be too off-putting. I don't know. Yeah. But maybe she's a three-piece.
After the skull heads, I don't know. They could have gone there.
Oh, man. Well, that's pretty much everything, Joss. I was going to say the legs walking to the wall reminds me of, there's a Deep Space Nine episode called The Magnificent Ferengi, where I don't know if you've ever seen this episode. It is hilarious. It's like a take on the Magnificent Seven, and all these Ferengis come together to rescue Quark and Nog's mom, Moogie.
Of course, I have seen this episode.
So the Vorta, they accidentally shoot him, and so he is dead, and he is the hostage exchange for Moogie from the Dominion. And Iggy Pop is the other Vorta doing the exchange. And one of the funniest lines of the episode is, he's like, "Oh, moms, you understand." He's like, "Actually, I don't. I'm a clone." It's like, it's just so perfect. It's so deadpan. And actually, you might have reviewed this for the podcast, actually. I think this is season.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is very late.
Yeah, I remember this one.
But Kevin, I believe, is the Vorta's name. And he's from a previous episode, and they held him. And Deep Space Nine is so good. But they actually shoot him, so they had to put like these things on him to remote control his dead body. He's like walking
because he's dead.
Into the wall.
Yeah, they weekend at Bernie him.
What did you do to him? Like, that's just... Oh man, it's so good.
That's one of the best.
And the episode ends with him like just backing up, walking into a wall, backing up, walking into a wall. So that's what I pictured the Borg Queen's legs are doing. But anyways, that is a wrap for episode 2. We will be back next week to review the 3rd episode of Picard. Thank you all for listening. Until then, computer and program.
Thanks for listening to Star Trek Wars.